Hi, my name is Jim Gibson. Thank you for joining me today on my channel. I very much appreciate it. And this channel is all about politics and public education. And today I'm going to talk about something that's I couldn't figure out a succinct title. But here's some of the titles I've thought about. The do's and don'ts for getting your way on a board meeting concerning a vote. No, that's too long. That's much too long. How to win at a board meeting. That might be it. I don't know. I got to think it over. But the idea is that parents, when you go to a board meeting, you want to be heard and hopefully sway the vote your way, the way you think it's right. And so let me give you a little bit of background. I spent 20 years on the Vista Unified School District Board, and it was quite contentious because the labor union there really despised me, and I was not their favorite. And anyway, I'll just leave it at that. But it was very confrontational for many, many years. And so I learned a lot in the confrontation, and I also learned a lot listening to parents and taxpayers speak to the board. And so what I want to talk about today is I want to talk about some ways that you can persuade the board to vote your way, and then the don'ts, some of the things that people would do at the podium there, in front of the board. They would do certain things that would actually cause you to want to vote the other way. So we're going to talk about the do's and the don'ts. So let's talk about some of the do's. So obviously, if you're watching this, you're interested in your local public school system, and I'm going to talk about the issues that affect California and what a school board can do and can't do and things like that. And it's about a local school board, how you can impact your local school board. Maybe that's the title. I bet you that's a good title, How to Impact Your Local School Board. I'll write that down. Sorry for this delay. But let's go over some of the do's and don'ts. Again, 20 years on the Vista School Board. Worked pretty hard. Most of the time I got the major decisions the way I wanted. But the reason I got the major decisions to go my way, because the other 4 board members, for most part, were opposed to what I wanted done on the board. And I'm parent-centric. I'm taxpayer-centric. They were not. So a lot of times it was difficult to get them to vote my way. So it seemed to me, looking back over the 20 years, especially on the big discussions, the big issues, the way I got the other 4 to vote my way was that you, the parent, the taxpayer, showed up. And when you showed up, it had an impact on those other trustees during the monthly board meeting. And but I'll tell you what, if you just showed up one time and you don't know what you're talking about or things like that, it had no impact at all. So you have to prepare yourself. You have to know what you're saying, things like that. So one of the first things you need to realize is that you need an agenda, and every citizen can get an agenda, and you could probably have it emailed to you. So if you go to the school district, or if you can call them up, they can send you an agenda for the meeting. And then of course also have a calendar. When are the meetings, and tell them that you want to be notified if the meeting dates change, because sometimes they change. There's other situations. Sometimes a board member can't make it, he's sick, or a couple of board members can't make it, they're sick, and they have to postpone the meeting or move the meeting. It's rare, but it does happen. You don't want to show up for a board meeting and find out that it's already been postponed to another date. Make sure you have the address and everything else. Show up ahead of time. You need about 15-20 minutes, a half hour ahead of time. And in most cases, what you have to do is you have to look at the agenda. You have to know what you want to talk to on the agenda. And then once you know what you have to talk to on the agenda, you got to pull a card, it's called. And so you have to fill out your name, different things they ask you. I don't think they can ask you more than your name to be honest with you. But sometimes they ask more, like your address, things like that, to make sure that you're in the area. But even if you're not in the area, you still have a right to talk to the school board. Even if you're not in that school district, you still have a right. You're a citizen, you're a taxpayer, you have a right to talk to that school board. And about anything, by the way, you have the right to do it. You know, if we step back just a little bit, get some agendas, listen to how the members speak, how the school board members are talking, find out who you agree with. And sometimes you're going to find there are some board members that you agree with, 50% of the time. Others you're going to disagree with every time they speak. And some you're going to agree with 100%. So it's not only education about the school board member, but it's also going to be education about the agenda. Agendas are not easy to understand, and it takes a little bit of practice and study, and you follow what they're saying, and they'll tell the audience, or they should be telling the audience, what agenda item they are on. And remember, you have the right to speak on every single of those agenda items, so don't let them tell you you can't. You can. So what you want to do is educate yourself. Now, I would say even go further than just educate yourself. Find some parents and taxpayers. You don't have to be a parent to talk to the school board. Remember, it's your school district. You own these buildings. You pay the salaries of the teachers and the administrators, and you also pay the salaries of those board members. They represent you. They're there to work for you. You're not there to work for them. So remember that. They work for you. So try to set up an organization of parents who can speak to the board on certain issues. So when you get the agenda, and you should be able to get the agenda about a week in advance, you can have a meeting and you can talk about the agenda to the other parents. And I tell you what, parents who are involved need to spend some time on these issues. Need to be involved in the school district. And you got to read the agenda and things like that. And we're going to talk about some other things concerning the agenda and concerning when school district officials talk to you and kind of pat you on the back or on the top of the head like you don't know what you're talking about. Once you organize this group and you decide that you're going to put time into the local school board meeting, what you need to do is it's nice to have a social media account. Someone has to have it in that group where they can communicate it far outside the group, but let people know that you're the group and that you're going to every single board meeting, you and your friends, the parents, things like that. And some of these board meetings last a long time, but it's your kids, it's your children, they're your responsibility. And you can complain about how the school system isn't working the way you like it, but do something about it then. Just don't complain. Complaining never gets you anywhere. Action does. So use social media. Just a little side note. I was watching the news this morning, and they said that the Biden administration was using TikTok, and a lot of people were laughing about that. That these people on TikTok were recruited by the Biden administration media people to give Biden's reason or what's happening with the high gas prices. And of course, it's all Putin's fault. But the idea is a lot of people, that's all they listen to is TikTok. That's all they listen to. All they see is Facebook. So if you're not there, they don't hear your side. And they're not hearing what's going on. They don't know what happened at the board meeting last night. It used to be papers. Now, obviously I'm a little bit older than most people, and I would read the paper every morning. And in North County, San Diego, we had a paper, it was called North County Times. It was fantastic. It really educated me a lot on a lot of issues, and I really enjoyed it. But set up someone who knows social media, and set up your group, have a group, social media, and make sure you're communicating out to the people who may also be interested, parents, taxpayers. So if you go before the board, what you want to know is you want to be prepared ahead of time, and you want to talk to the issue, just one issue. And I don't mean that you can only talk to one issue total for the whole meeting. It's just one agenda item, one issue. So you pull a card for that one agenda item, that one issue, and then if there's something else in the agenda you want to talk about, you can pull another card for that issue. So you can talk to the other subjects in the agenda, but you should only talk to one subject at a time. Now, some school boards allow, they give you like 20 minutes to speak to any issue on the agenda, or whatever you want to talk about. I remember one guy showed up one time and he wanted to talk about potholes in front of his house. And some of the other board members are like, yeah. It's like, you get 3 minutes, man. You can talk about anything you want, really. If you want to talk about potholes, that's fine. The school district can't do anything about the potholes in front of your house. And so I remember advising him that he was in the wrong meeting. He really needed to talk to the city. The city takes care of potholes, not the school district. So make sure you know what you're talking about. You don't have to be a genius at it. You don't have to be an expert at it. You're a parent. Be a parent about it. You know what's right or wrong for your kids, and you know what's right or wrong for your community. So you got to make sure that you speak to the issue from your direction, not from the school system's direction. And like I said, I already mentioned 3 minutes. Our school system, our VUSD, Vista Unified School District, basically would give 3 minutes to the public to speak. And I made sure they had a timer. There was a problem in earlier years that those they didn't agree with, they would cut them off, and those they did agree with, they would extend the time. So I timed it and pointed it out that was going to get them legally in trouble. Everyone gets the same amount of time. When your time is up, you finish a sentence, or you finish a sentence or two at the most, and then you walk away. But talk to the subject. You can bring your kids to stand next to you. Sometimes it's a good thing if the kids like, to do something like that. Most kids are nervous about standing in front of a group, but it may point out the fact that you're a parent. And I wouldn't bring the kids if they don't want to be there and they're going to yell or something or squirm or anything else. But if they want, if they're old enough to respect what's going on, then that would be great. That's just pointing out that you have a stake in the issue. Now, if you're a teacher, and one of the things that drove me nuts as a trustee, teacher would show up with their whole classroom. And to me, that was unacceptable. That's a don't do that if you're a teacher. The reason why is I viewed that you were politicizing your classroom. So, they have all these kids come up, they would pull cards, 3-minute cards, half of them didn't know what they were talking about. It was 8, 9 o'clock at night. It didn't sit well with me, it just wasn't good. And it did not persuade me to vote that teacher's way. So if you're a teacher, you come forward, you present your case. If you have your own children or another child or something, one parent wants to be there with you, that's fine. Stay to the end. A lot of times during these meetings, you get your way on one subject, but you're missing the fact that there's a lot of other things coming down the lane here that you may need to know about and be educated on. So stay until the end of the meeting. Let's say you have 5 people, 10 people in your group, and you all think it's really good to talk to a subject. And I know that, I've seen in the past is that they would elect a spokesman, and the spokesman would speak, and as that spokesman spoke, the others would be in the back standing there, very nice, professionally there, but it doesn't have the impact as 5 individual speakers speaking to the issue. And, just coming forward, speaking to the issue, 5 individuals, 5 people in your group that are interested in that subject, then 5 people should speak to that subject. Remember, you got to pull cards, agenda cards, little 3x5 cards that you got to fill out, and they'll call your name in the meeting. Hey, again, go to a couple of meetings, learn what it's about. Let's see. If you don't like something, speak up. Make sure the board members know that you don't like it. Again, if it wasn't for parents coming before the board and parents in the audience clapping for that person speaking, I would not have been able to persuade my fellow trustees to vote my way. So here's some don'ts, and want to move on here a little bit faster. Don't do petitions. They don't do anything, and on top of that, the petition gives the school district, the other trustees, it gives them names, and it gives them email accounts. A lot of times people will put in the names and email, and we're against this issue. It's just not wise, because you just take it and they know who you are. And in most cases it's innocent, but in a lot of cases it's you know, they're organized against you in the future. So I don't do petitions. And remember, when you're dealing with people at the district, no matter how friendly they are, they're not your friend. Now, they may be on your side, you don't know. A lot of district people were on my side when I not only ran, but when I won. I was surprised how many people within the school district liked me and actually voted for me. So it's not this monolith of union people. But the bottom line is, just remember, when you're talking to these people, they're not your buddies, and sometimes they'll tell you things, and they'll say one thing, but they'll do another. So don't pay attention to the words as much as you need to pay attention to the actions. I don't know how many times I would talk to another board member, and they would say, I'm voting with you, Jim. Absolutely, you're right, I agree with you. And then they would vote the other way, and I would say, why? And they said, well, you know, I just had to, yeah, whatever it was. Always pay attention to the actions, not the words. I listened to what they said, but I paid attention to the actions. Whatever you do, don't yell. Yelling gets you nowhere. It's just a small mind trying to express itself, and really they don't have the vocabulary or the means of professionalism to get across the logic of what they're trying to say. So don't yell, and definitely don't threaten anybody. You don't want to threaten anybody. I've been threatened a handful of times. When I stood up for certain issues and things like that, you want to be very careful in that area. You do not want to threaten anybody. It's not necessary. You're not going to win anybody by threatening them, threatening their safety, their home, their kids, their life. Don't do that, okay? Because it ruins your cause, it ruins your case. And if you have a group of parents and taxpayers that are coming before the board on a regular basis, and you have a hothead that threatens and yells and everything else, not good, not good. And again, I already mentioned, here's another don't, but I already mentioned this, teachers, don't bring your class. It's unprofessional. And you know, another thing too, I remember people coming before me, and they you know, before the other board members and me, before the board, but they would be so inappropriately dressed for the day, for the time, for the location. And it just takes away any credibility that you have on your argument. So it defeats it. So you want to be dressed professionally. You don't have to be in a suit and tie, but you want to be professional. You don't want to look like you just came from the beach or someplace else that no one wants to know where you came from, okay? So be professional in the way you talk, the way you handle it. Get organized. This isn't something because you get emotional in it. This 1 week or this 1 month, we're going to solve this problem. No, it doesn't work that way. What you have to do is you got to get organized. So if you're watching this video and you think these ideas are good, find your friends who are willing to commit 1 night a month or whenever they meet. We used to meet 2 nights a month. Listen, I've gone all the way through this, and I forgot to tell you, please like the video. If I've given you information, please like it. Please subscribe. You can always unsubscribe 6 months from now or whatever. I am running for State Superintendent of Public Instruction. So if you like what I said, I'd appreciate your vote. But I tell you what would also be appreciative is that if you told other people about these videos that I produced. I always go over the 3 things I'm running for. A, B, C. Easy to remember. Accountability. The school system has to be held accountable. Good and bad. There's good teachers out there that just need sometimes recognition that they don't get from their own union because the union may disagree with them. Realize there's good teachers, and I'm going to have a video on that by itself. Second, the B. So A is accountability. B is focus on basics. Reading, math, science, real history, not this garbage that some of the schools are teaching these days, not CRT and some of the other political nonsense. You didn't pay your taxes to have that taught to your kids. So focus on the basics. And then my C in ABC is commitment to parents and taxpayers. Really, the taxpayers have given the school district money to support you as a parent, and you know what's best for your children. So thank you for watching today. Please like, subscribe, and one last thing before I go. Make a comment. Please, comments mean something. And watch some of my other videos. I'm going to be talking about a lot of issues. My election's coming up. If I get elected, fantastic. I'll take these principles with me to the state and let's see if we can turn it around. Let's see if we can turn it around at the state. Thank you for your time. You have a wonderful day.